holidays, everybody. I'm Zeus Kerravala, Principal Analyst with EK Research, and I'm here for day 2 of the 12 days of Cloudmas. Now, I'm joined by Rob Scudiere, the COO and President of Fuze. Rob, why don't you say hi to everybody?
Yeah, great. Zeus, first, thank you for having me today. It's great to be with you and share a little bit about what we're seeing in the market and where we're focused with our customer base.
Yeah, well, it's an absolute pleasure. And first, though, I want to test your memory here from when you were a kid. This is day 2 of the 12 days of Cloudmas. Do you remember what day 2 was of the 12 days of Christmas?
Sadly, I don't.
It was 2 French hens, and I've always wondered why somebody would want French hens as a gift. Anyways, that was pretty strange.
Have you ever figured that out?
A lot of words, though, in the 12 days of Christmas. Now, we're actually using the Fuze platform, and which is pretty interesting. You know, since the pandemic started, there's been a lot of these video platforms. People may not be familiar with the Fuze platform. I've used it before. I know it's very feature-rich. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the Fuze platform and you know, what it does and what your customers like about it?
Sure, great. Well, thank you. So, you know, for us, Fuze has been focused on the enterprise space really since the company was founded. So it's in our DNA. And as such, we have some kind of, I would say, some foundational design principles around the product and the experience. First is, you know, we believe we need to offer our customers very flexible connectivity to get onto our cloud platform. And as such, Fuze users, regardless of where they're located in the world, have very easy access using any device to our cloud platform. You know, our whole design principle really is around having this unified client, which provides these very seamless experiences across callings, meetings, chat, and contact center, really with the end user and consumer in mind. So the interface is very intuitive, really modern, easy to use. Adoption is extremely low and requires very minimal training. And we get very high marks from our customers around the ability to use the platform really across any modality that works best for their organization. And the fact that we, you know, have this great, very, I would say, easy to use interface and rich product that covers the full breadth of the UCaaS and CCaaS portfolio, it really empowers employees to drive a lot of productivity in the modern workplace.
Yeah, you know, and I know I attended your last analyst day, and I know a big part of your the development efforts at your company has been around this concept of interoperability, which is a little different than most of the UCaaS, CCaaS vendors. I think most of the vendors, they want to be the single platform that everybody uses, but in reality, most companies tend to use 2 or 3 platforms. And so I know you recently rolled out some interoperability with the oh so popular Microsoft Teams, but Teams doesn't do everything well, right? So, you know, like any platform. And so why don't you tell me a little bit about the interoperability that you do with Microsoft and maybe some other vendors?
Sure, great question. So I would say technology partnerships, interoperability, and integration has really been foundational to our enterprise strategy. You know, as you know, enterprise companies, they have a lot of different technologies. Being able to provide kind of a comprehensive set of workflows across those technologies is really integral to their overall technology strategy. And so for us, especially with UCaaS and CCaaS being such a critical component of people's digital, you know, I would say transformation strategies, it's really important that we can play well with regardless of the technology they've purchased. That could be business apps like Microsoft Teams as an example. It could be service management tools. And so for us, being able to complement the investments those enterprise companies have made is really important. Teams, as you point out, is a great example. This year, we've actually released multiple iterations of our Teams integration, really focused on enhancing the calling, chatting, and meetings features of those particular products, designed specifically around the user workflows. And for us, that means both external calling as well as the peer-to-peer interactions. And so for us, that ability to have, you know, I would say parity across the different endpoints, native support for web, mobile, and desktop have been things that, you know, we've been highlighted by our customers as differentiation. And we don't think about interoperability just as a element of how we can plug into third-party tools, but it also opens up our platform through our developer platform such that organizations have the ability to use our APIs to go deeper in terms of integrations, in particular, perhaps for custom applications that may be built specific to their industry. The other piece, and I know you've talked about in this past, I think that some of this interoperability also plays well to some of the consolidation that's happened in the market.
Yeah.
You look at Verizon and Blue Jeans earlier this year. They had a strategic partnership where Blue Jeans was filling some gaps for them. And that turned into a strategic acquisition where Verizon said, we need to own this IP in order to better serve our customers. The recent Salesforce and Slack announcement. And so I think we'll continue to see some of that consolidation over the coming months.
Yeah, it poses sort of an interesting conundrum for customers. By the way, I am going to fall on the sword here. I said it was two French hens. It's actually two turtle doves. So
okay.
Don't feel bad about not knowing. I actually looked them up and I still got it wrong. So, but anyways, sort of back to the consolidation efforts. I do think it's been an interesting transition in the industry watching so much consolidation, because every vendor is trying to build their own platform that does everything. But yet, as I said, not every vendor can do everything well. And so the approach you're taking certainly lets customers almost take a best of breed approach and use what they like from you, what they like from Microsoft, and get things to work together easily. Because I think too often the vendor community likes to make the user the integration point instead of making the technology the integration point. Now, staying on this topic of interoperability and integration, you obviously can't do every integration into every vertical app and every homegrown app that's out there. I'm sure if you could, you would, but you can't. Now, to complement the things that you've done integrating the ServiceNows and Microsofts, you actually have a pretty robust developer platform, correct? So why don't you, tell our audience a little bit about that and how that benefits them?
Sure, it's a great point. So we do have a developer platform that's pretty rich. It exposes the same microservices, APIs that we use on our platform to build our products to our customers. And what we've heard a lot is that people are starting to shift to want to have these embedded solutions and experiences where if they have specific vertical applications that may be relevant just to them or a small set, they want to be able to very easily integrate meetings, being able to establish meetings, call flows, advanced call flows, our contact center. And so we're really thinking about our platform as being an enablement for those customers as they think about getting closer to what's important to their business, how they drive their revenue, how do they better serve their customer experience.
And are all your SDKs and APIs, are they all cloud-based?
They are all cloud-based. We have a 100% cloud-native platform. We've been on a journey over the last 4 to 5 years to make that full transition, and that's, I think, benefited our customers in a number of different ways. One of which is we're able to innovate a lot more rapidly, and then obviously we can drive a lot more from an availability and resiliency perspective.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the cloud native piece, because that's an interesting distinction, because a lot of the UCaaS vendors out there that call themselves cloud are actually lift and shifts of older platforms. And if you just look at when those companies were founded, right, that's all that was available at the time. So you guys have actually gone through a pretty extensive process of making your entire platform cloud native, correct?
We have. I'd like to say I could take credit for that, but that journey, fortunately started well before I arrived at the company. And as I mentioned, it was about 5 years ago, the company made a strategic decision after making a significant investment in building out a global footprint in data centers to go with cloud native. And so we've been, rewriting, replatforming the entire platform across all aspects of the stack for the last 5 years. And as a result, we're seeing a lot of the benefits with a number of the innovations that we were able to launch this year.
Yeah, that's great. Now, it is the holidays. And so that brings us to the end of the year. And one thing I always like to do with thought leaders like yourself is get a prediction or two. So what can people expect in 2021? We had a tumultuous 2020, to say the least. Who would have thought we'd have seen that? I don't think you would have predicted this anyways.
Yeah.
So, but put your predictions hat on and tell us what to expect in 2021.
Sure. So great question. So not surprising, I think we're going to see organizations accelerate the deployment of intuitive technologies, really to connect and I think inspire their talent. I think as we think about 2021, people are going to focus a lot more on how do they realize the value of those investments and start to use underlying technology to think about how they can better understand workforce diversity, skills, employee engagement. I really think that leveraging your talent creatively to drive innovation, adaptability, and ultimately customer intimacy are going to be some of the differentiating factors as companies think about how to navigate the ongoing change in 2021 and beyond.
Great, yeah. So customer intuitiveness, I think, is what you call it, correct? And
Yes.
that's another thing our industry's not really been good at. We build these tools all the time, and they are not intuitive, to say the least. So I'm glad you are focused on that. So we're near the end of the time. I have one more quick question for you on the personal side. What golf hole is that behind you?
So the golf hole behind me is a club that I belong to. It's the 8th hole. It's I would say it's a nemesis for me, to be honest with you, Zeus. It's a hole that, quite honestly, I struggle with quite a bit. So it's a reminder to me that you need to keep working hard, and when you do that, great things happen.
Well, that's a great lesson for everybody out there, and I'm glad you shared that little anecdote with us. So on behalf of Rob Scudiere, President and COO of Fuze, I'm Zeus Kerravala from ZK Research, wishing you all a happy Cloudmas and a happy holidays.